Cannot hear.
Hello everyone, welcome to UMD Media's new show, Signal Roundup. This is a new show focusing on gathering what is around, what has been said, and maybe giving context into the news and views. Shime, welcome. I know you had to date yourself yesterday. Thank you for covering that. And yeah, so let's start with what is in the news. Of course, the airstrike of Mekelle after the resumption of the war 2 days ago is a big news today. What did you observe? What did you gather today?
Yeah, that's the biggest news, Professor Getachew. Thank you. Hello and welcome, or all our viewers and listeners of UMD Signal Roundup. Yeah, that is the major news. We just woke up to this horrible news. So the Ethiopian government has conducted an airstrike in Mekelle city, and according to reports coming out, it has killed several civilians, including children and other innocent civilians. Number of casualties are not well defined, not reported fully. We see some graphic images coming on social media, very disturbing. But local media houses are also reporting about it. The Tigray TV reported that uh, there is an airstrike and on children's school or kindergarten. It hits kindergarten in Mekelle, and there are also homes near by. They were also affected, or they were also hit by the airstrike. So we see that graphic images, and so I think it's about 13 people, according to my latest information I have. I may be wrong, but 13 people uh, were affected by this. Four were dead, and two of them are children. Nine were admitted to the hospital. So there is reports of injuries and death, Prof. So after that, right after that, we see mixed feelings from both the public, mainly the public, and very different kinds of feelings. And government officials are also saying something, and the Tigrayan officials called the airstrike as a heartless and sadistic assault. Residents affected by the airstrikes are also expressing their deep concerns and grievances about what has happened to the innocent civilians. And there is, as it is reported by the government of Ethiopia, there is no location of a military base or military force, which they call anti-peace, but there is no of that signal in the airstrike happened. So it is targeted on innocent civilians, so particularly in this case, school children school. Yeah, that's basically it when it comes to the attack. I haven't get the other information. There is also another airstrike, but we haven't get the full information to provide you with more or latest information. Following that, recently or before coming to live in here, I see Dr. Debretzion's statement. He said he condemned the act of the airstrike on innocent civilians, and he called it a fascistic act. He said the Tigrayan Defense Force is defending the people from any acts of violence, and such acts on innocent civilians depict a clear failure of the regime in Addis Ababa. That is a statement from Dr. Debretsion Mekelle, president of the Tigray regional state, Prof. So, do you want me to continue, or do you want to reflect before I say a few words? Because there are also other reflections coming from different groups, including WHO chief Dr. Tedros Adhanom as well. So
Yeah.
I can give you a couple of minutes to express or what you gathered on
Mhm.
this particular incident, and then I can add up into it. Prof, back to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Shime. And yeah, the reaction from Mekelle, obviously, those that are very close at the forefront of helping the victims. We hear medical doctors like Fasika Amdasalase tweeting from Mekelle. And we saw the chief medical director, Dr. Kabram, as well of Eider Hospital, reporting there. And it's heartbreaking, to see a medical doctor tweeting like this. We don't have essential med and supplies in our emergency department, and airstrike casualties, women and children are coming. We cannot save them. What do you call this situation? What name can you give it? Sieged and bombed. This is Dr. Fasika Amdasalase, who was, by the way, the head of the health bureau during the interim government appointed by Abiy Ahmed during the um, November 28, 2021, 2020 to June 28, 2021. And we saw also others reacting. What is fascistic about all this is Daniel Kubrat, the social advisor of the prime minister. Um, just after the strike, he tweeted this. He's equating the if Tang is talking bad and a lot, and it's up to the tools and the rest of the body to stop it. Otherwise, they would be deprived of food because of what the tank does. And he clearly says, after saying that, it's the same with the people of Tigray. As long as they don't stop the TPLF, then what comes out of that is to be expected. So this man is the same who said actually in December 23rd, 2021, there was, if you remember, Shime and our audience, that was a time where they, for a while, stopped bombing all that. And he said that there is a moment where, in this case, trees uh, that were being cut, if there is a moment of, stopping that, cutting the trees, that is simply for the axis to get sharpened more. So he says those who, the unwitty trees, they might think, there is no more cutting. But what is important, and that time taken, is for the axe to get sharpened more, and so on. So that is what seems to be guiding what's happening today on children in Mekelle. Back to you, Shime.
Yeah, I think this kind of messages are coming from different sources as well, mainly actors which are very much closer to the government in power, and they are, by the way, contradictory with what the international community is calling for. I think in one way or the other, they want the existing escalation of the engagement or the war to stop as immediately as possible. But as you have said, he was saying that we were preparing for the war. We were sharpening our armaments. So we were not standing still, or we were not sitting idle. Rather, we were preparing for more airstrike, for more war and all that. And the only way he was saying is the whole for the whole Tigrayans to submit, and it truly contradicts with what is in the peace accord, in the peace deal, and the agreement and all that. So this, for me, shows that the government has different kinds of pieces of mouths. What it tells to the internal audience, what it tells to the international community, what it tells you today, and what it has been telling you yesterday are totally contradictory and different. So I think this doesn't lead into anywhere, and it doesn't look for me genuine. So that's what I see. But those people who are being affected by these horrendous acts on daily basis are calling for peace, negotiation, for this horrific incidents to end once and for all. One good indication, one good message is that of the WHO chief, Dr. Tedros Adhanom, on his Twitter handle. He said horrifying images from children killed in kindergarten in the airstrike, while the 21 months starvation, deprivation, and deaths of children continue. This is what they are up to, the people of Tigray are up to. And the siege by Ethiopia must end, and unfettered humanitarian access has to be restored urgently. This is a call for the whole international community. I think this is a good call. And later on, after we finish this package, we will see also some international actors as to what they are saying about um, the this another round of war or another round of casualties and all that. Back to you,
Okay.
Professor Getachew.
Thank you, Sheme. I think you mentioned about the 13 people, number of victims. This is maybe 3 hours old. So out of the 13, four already dead, nine wounded, and four of them were in Mekelle hospital. Out of these were the three dead and one wounded. So maybe we can move to the next item.
Yeah, we will move on into the next item, but this is the one of the major news for today. That's why we were giving ample time before we move into a couple of other issues related with again with the eruption of the war and all that. I would like to read as you were showing at the beginning of our interaction. There is a little butterfly on the wall showed, and one of the poets on a social media by the name Hagos, I think. Uh, Wayne Abraha has posted it, but it was Hagos Abraha who wrote it, and it says, "Little butterfly, colorful like Ashenda girl." Ashenda, by the way, is a colorful annual celebration by girls, which is being celebrated all over Tigray. So he is making an analogy with that. Colorful like a Shenda girl. Hello, little butterfly. That is what you're looking on the image. Thou art beauty of Mekelle and the friend of cute kids of Tigray. Tell us what you saw. Tell us what you saw, like the moon. Don't lie. How many are lost? How many will die? Yeah, that's a very heartbreaking uh, poem which has an intonation. So everyone, especially those who don't have information about their family, are saying, it's another uh, horrific day. So yeah, that's it for now. Well, let's finish up the about the airstrike. And next up is couple of things about the war. The first one is with regard to the Eritrean troops. We have got some information from credible sources that more Eritrean troops are heading to Humera. By the way, to join, there are also already existing troops of alongside the Amhara militia and Amhara special forces and the Ethiopian National Defense Forces. So some of another more troops of Eritrean troops are heading to Humera. This is also something which tells us uh, uh, that there is a real intent of another aggression by the Eritrean regime. Um, and also, I think we have discussed about the Ethiopian claim to have been downed a plane. Uh, uh, there was a newspaper in Khartoum has reported about it, and it says it's carrying weapons to Tigray, said official news agency that is quoting from there, which was Major General Tasfai Ayalu, head of the Ethiopian National Defense Coordination Main Department and Deployment. He said the plane which flew from Sudan and violating the Ethiopian airspace. I think that looks like a complete fallacious story or information. In Khartoum, the Sudanese government did not react, in this case, to the Ethiopian statement. And along with this story, on August 23rd, South Sudanese President Advisor Tut Gatluk told Sudan Tribune that Sudan and Ethiopia agreed in principle to end the border dispute through peaceful dialogue instead of military means. So this is the one information that is related with the eruption of the war, and the other information is, I think, Professor, maybe you will add more. Alex Dawal has written a piece entitled "Peace Process is Dead as is Fragile Ceasefire in Ethiopia." So
Yeah, maybe you'll come back to that. Very
mhm.
intriguing, and the way how the Ethiopian government is communicating the same day from the same office, the same day of the bombing of a kindergarten in Mekelle, the Federal Bureau Communication Office writes in Amharic, saying that the government would continue to bomb what it calls the military sites, training centers, all that. And we know the bombing today happened in the middle of a densely populated area, among others, playground and kindergarten, as we covered in the first part of today's show. And the same day, just maybe within a few minutes after the bombing, it comes with an English communique, the same office, Federal Government of Ethiopia's Communication Office Services, saying the International Committee should support the Ethiopian government's peace option. So this is, I think, the Orwellian way of putting, you know, war is peace, bombing children is peace, and so on. That touched to your point of Alex Doll's article. So you may continue, Shime, on that account.
Yeah, I think it's very instrumental or advisable for our viewers and listeners to read the entire piece to get the gist of the matter. But it summarizes. Basically, it is all about how Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has used starvation as a weapon, while negotiations have sputtered due to mistrust and weak international oversight. And he says the first shots were fired on the southern border of Tigray near the town of Alamata. Each side blamed each other. We have witnessed over the last few days, and we have covered yesterday in our news piece. It's a long piece to cover or to see, and but I will just touch upon one thing, and then we'll proceed maybe to the final part as our time is going as well. He's saying federal forces, along with their coalition partners, militia from regional state of Amhara and army units from Eritrea, continue to occupy the most fertile parts of the region. Tigray's other two fronts, on the northern side with Eritrea and the eastern side with Afar regional state, may also yet erupt, he said. Critically, for Tigray's 7 million people, the fighting spells an end to any immediate prospects of a negotiated lifting of the siege that has reduced them to starvation, costing up to 500,000 lives since the war began in November 2020. I think this is even the number which was reported months back, and you can imagine how the number would escalate as days go, because of the siege, because of not allowing any food into the region. And with this eruption of the war, the situation will be worse. So it is very saddening to view and see, to view and hear, Professor.
Mm. Thank you, Sheme. This is our viewers. This is an article by Alex Dahl. Peace process is dead as is fragile ceasefire in Ethiopia, published yesterday, August the 25th, on responsible statecraft. So we invite you to read that. And talking about the WHO chief, Dr. Tedros Adhanom, about the bombing today, he said it reminded him on the personal level the airstrike by Eritrean Air Force 22 years ago, maybe, at Eider School. Again, at that time, killing children. And Dr. Tedros mentioned that his own children, were at very close distance from where the bombing happened, and so on. So I think many people who lived or still have families in Tigray, they have one way or another way of reminding them in the past. So my own experience, when I was grade 10, I was also exposed to a bombing of my town, where many people died. Uh, while again, I mean, ironically, these people, they were gathered there to collect aid from Red Cross, and when the jet passed through the city, they ran and were under construction kindergarten at that time as well. It was just under construction. They gathered then, and the air jets bombed that and killing many people. So that is also what I think Dr. Theodos was mentioning in terms of his own experience in Magala. Back to you, Shime.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's good also to wind up our program today by mentioning about the reflection of some international actors. As you may recall, yesterday the whole talk was about the taking of the fuel and the response by the Tigray authority about what has happened, and all that we have somehow clarified, and maybe in the upcoming days we will clarify. But I wish to end up today's program by what Congressman Brad Sherman and Dr. Tedros Adhanom has commented, and finally, what I am good about is the comments given by residents of Addis Ababa, like the previous times, that they are not in support of the war which is going on, which is a good development progress, in my opinion. So I will comment, or I will say a few things on that, and then maybe you will add a few points. So Congressman Brad Sherman is saying, I am horrified by the Ethiopian government's renewed assault on Tigray. Tigrayans face the worst humanitarian crisis in the world, and this new offensive threatens millions already enduring famine. The US must act to help facilitate an immediate ceasefire. This is a very strong comment, unlike exhausting time on other minor issues by other international actors. And as to add up to what you have said on regarding Dr. Tedros Adhanom and your own experience, he also Dr. Tedros Adhanom also um, uh, expressed his personal sorrow over the ongoing crisis in Tigray. This was actually prior to even the airstrike, and Dr. Tedros said to the press gathering that we have, I think you have seen that. He was saying, I have many relatives there. I want to send them money. They are starving, Dr. Tedros Adhanom said during a press conference in Geneva. So this is also very strong. I think the world needs to open its eyes and erect or open its ears as well to these kinds of feelings, emotions, and personal experiences. I don't see more stronger information than this one. People who are experiencing on daily basis, people who haven't seen their relatives for 2 years now, without any telecommunication, water, and other facilities, including food. And the last point, which I was mentioning, is the residents and citizens of Ethiopia, particularly those in Addis Ababa. Look, they have learned from the past 2 year experience, and they're condemning or they react to news of resumption of fighting in Tigray. In Tigray, they are saying that it is not good to have, like the international community. Residents of Addis Ababa are saying that uh, they are concerned about the ongoing rhetoric of war and engagements. African News, dear viewers and listeners, you can look into African News. I've talked to many residents, and two of the residents I viewed in the clips released yesterday call for a peaceful resolution of the war, and they are noting the importance of learning from experience and arrange on learning what the countries who have gone through this kind of experience. Yeah, you can. It's good to learn from them, to learn lessons from the likes of, for example, countries like Yemen and Syria. This was posted in a news article in by Africa News. So I think that's all I have, Prof.
Thank you, Shimi. I think that's about time. I just want to finish our today's show, Signal Roundup. We'll be back tomorrow, and we'll update you on what we are hearing and observing. But this is a notice again from the Ethiopian Government Communication Service, and posted today. It says urgent notice, and it's meant to be read, and based on that, do something by the people of Tigray in Tigray. And we know for a fact that for the past 14 months and still counting, Tigray is under siege, under communication blackout. So it's like, you close everything you can with a soundproof in a room, and you are giving instruction to have whoever is in that room. So no communication, net, no telecommunication, no internet whatsoever, no mobility, and including, as have been said repeatedly, no access to bank services, including own money. But the government is saying, or asking the people of Tigray to avoid places of military equipment and trading facilities. Otherwise, we will be bombing you. And we know today, unfortunately, that bombing sites, airstrike sites, were the in the center of Mekelle, where kids were playing and where kindergarten was in operation. It was 12:30 p.m. local time. So it's noon, half past noon local time that bombing happened today. Thank you, Sheme, and thank you, our viewers. We will be back tomorrow with yet another episode of Signal Roundup.
Yeah, thank you very much. We look forward for more updates on the coming days. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one.